opening the meeting. First, if I may have the opportunity to tell the people in Littleton, because myself and this young lady here ran for the Board of Health, and we just like to tell the people in Littleton we appreciate so much for your trust and thank for going to vote. I wish more people go to vote, because if you don't use it, you lose it. That's what they say. And thank you very much for the courtesy. And now, we open the meeting, 7:02. Okay, now we have here, so we discussed this here at the administrative matter about this, I'm sure you're probably reading it, James Garaffi. Take a few minutes and see what you think of it. We make no decision.
That's what you folks are going to talk about, is this particular letter here, right? So this involves just two lots, or is there a third one here too?
So, for the record, Brian Goodrow, Hancock Associates, along with Dave Guthrie and the applicant and Sherry Gould, counsel. Mr. Gareffi had a couple of concerns regarding specifically these four lots right here on Fraser Street. So just to familiarize yourself with the site, we were before you last on Lot 8 regarding
Do you have any more like that?
of this plan.
So we can see it? That's the only one you had?
This is the only one I have.
Anyway,
You'll have to point out stuff, because it's
Yeah.
hard to see it from here. Where's your road coming in?
Okay, so Foster Street's right here.
Okay,
Grimes Lane is right here.
yeah,
This is Balsam Lane,
yeah.
and this is Fraser Street.
Okay.
So the lots in question are right in the center off of Fraser Street.
Well, I thought the brook was down further down there. Yeah, okay.
This is the wetland crossing right here. And we were before you last time on Lot 8, which is the first lot on the right-hand side as you drive in, regarding deed restrictions on the side of the hill. Just to give you an update on that, that system's in and backfilled, and you'll be seeing the as-built on it shortly. Now, Mr. Gareffi walked the site with me a few weeks back, and he identified a couple areas of concern. There's a wetland at the kind of the intersection of Fraser and Spruce Street that has standing water in it right now. The site is in the middle of construction, obviously. We've only closed 2 homes so far, but I believe 5 others are under construction right now. And so the site's not stabilized right now, so we feel that, and we're in the middle of conservation, kind of discussing what's going on in that area. And there's a lot of surface runoff, water ponds in yard areas. The second area that he had concern was on Lot 5, which is adjacent to Lot 4. Currently, there's a cellar hole in Lot 5. It's been open for months, since the fall, and basically any of the surrounding area, when it rains, water just goes into that
Should
hole.
I just hold you up a second? I'm a little confused here. One thing says Lot 6, and then underneath it says number 5.
Mm-hmm.
So that's house number, where it says number 5 is house
That's a
number.
house number?
Yeah, so we got
Oh,
house numbers
okay.
and we got lot numbers.
Okay, so you're talking about
Yeah,
house 5?
we're talking about
Lot-
lots. Jim
lot-
Gareffi's letter is strictly referencing lots.
Okay.
So I'm
So
switching
lot
to
4.
referencing
Lot
lots.
20?
So we're talking Lot 4 and 5.
We're
4,
talking
5,
lot
okay.
4, 5,
Okay.
6, and 7, right along Fraser Street. So those are not addresses. And what has been submitted on lot 4, which is kind of the topic of discussion tonight, is an as-built. The house has been constructed, the system is in, backfilled, and an as-built has been presented in conformance with the design. So to give you history, we were out there in July of 2016 doing soil testing that was witnessed by Jim Gareffi. We dug 4 holes, had it witnessed, established a groundwater elevation, ran 2 perks, and determined a perk rate of less than 2 minutes an inch. Groundwater ranged from 16 inches to 24 inches in the area. So it was pretty shallow and it was sandy. Based on that approved and witnessed testing, we designed the system for the lot. 5-foot offset, the appropriate size, submitted to the Board of Health for approval, went through a revision, and it was approved. And then the applicant built the system. All the inspections were done, witnessing the bottom of the hole, it was okayed, system was constructed, it was surveyed, it was witnessed, it was okayed, it was backfilled, and now we're at the point where we're trying to get occupancy. And the final as-built is before Jim and the board for approval. So the conversation that we had on site was Mr. Gareffi had a concern regarding the standing water in the cellar hole of Lot 5, standing water in the open space, in the wetland down at the end of Fraser Street, and indicated that
When did you meet again? When did you meet? Say you met with Jim?
when did I meet with him? It was a couple of weeks ago.
Is that after that big rainstorm we had, or?
It
Yeah,
says
his letter says
late
that,
winter.
after the late winter
420,
rains,
right?
snowstorm.
Did you meet him at
420.
Yeah,
Yes,
April 20.
April 20th.
April 20?
We did a site walk. So, I mean, but there's been a number of storms and rain events recently. It's middle of
Is there
spring.
still a lot of water there?
In the cellar hole of
Yeah.
5, there's still standing water in that hole.
So you have to, so in order to eliminate it, you have to use a sub pump or something?
We'll dewater the hole before we pour the foundation. Now, it's important to also understand that this entire section of the development was built up over existing grade. So that cellar hole is on top of compacted structural fill. So they ripped it down to subgrade, built it up with an imported material, compacted it all.
Maybe they
and
didn't
then-
build it up enough,
It's,
Just a
it's,
question.
it's over existing grade.
all the
So-
existing.
Right, so groundwater being 16 to 24 inches down on lot 4.
Right.
Lot 5 and throughout the subdivision, it ranged anywhere from obviously 16 inches to maximum depth about 40, but typically it was about 24 to 30 inches everywhere.
I see.
So anytime that we picked up foundations, the roadway, we're well above what was determined to be a groundwater elevation.
I understand.
So the concern of Jim was the fact that there's standing water above placed fill, there's standing water at the other end of Fraser Street, and that somehow this is indicative of the groundwater elevation that was already established changing. And he had requested that we potentially dig additional test pits, kind of in the area of Lot 4 to see what was going on beneath the fill. Now, it's our contention that we've followed Title V to a T, we've had it witnessed, it's been established, we've designed the system, we've built the system, and now he's essentially trying to take us back to the first step of exploratory digging to understand what's going on. We've already done that. We've established it, it's been accepted, and we have a system in the ground based on that. So, the second part, or kind of our contention of testing on Lot 4, is testing's required to be in the location of the system. The system's constructed. We can't dig underneath the system to see what's going on. Soil testing throughout the entire subdivision, between perk tests, groundwater elevations, textures, it's highly variable. A system that had 2 minutes an inch, less than 2 minutes an inch on 4, had 18 minutes an inch across the street. We're at 8 minutes an inch. We're at 23 minutes an inch. So just by shifting test holes away from the system, there could be any number of variations in the underlying soil that wouldn't be representative of what's going on in Lot 4.
When you build the foundation, right? I mean, it won't be the first time that I saw this, because I did it myself. Now, if the thing is not high enough and you have water right there, it's gonna show. Am I correct? It's gonna expand right over and it's gonna come up.
For the adjacent foundation hole?
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple things there. When we dug this foundation for 4, we didn't hit groundwater. Well, when he did a bed bottom inspection, there was no groundwater.
No groundwater.
None.
Okay.
We have a detention pond over here that drains, doesn't
Yeah.
hold water, which is substantially lower than the bottom of the system.
Okay.
This hole here, when we started the project, This was the lot we left last, and we brought in a pile of fill.
Number 5 you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah,
On the backside of number 5, we brought in 10,000 yards of fill, which is going to be road base for,
Right.
you know, so we had a huge stockpile there.
Right.
We had our loam screening operation on, so the stockpile was on
20
lot 28, if you will,
okay.
up in 27 and 28. We had our screening operation on lot 29. So we had a bit of a bowl there, and that's where most of the water sat.
Okay,
It sat there. So what we did was we prepped our foundation hole, but then we chased these pockets of water towards the foundation hole.
Okay.
As a mechanism of drying out this
Right.
back area here.
right.
And then we left it there because it was highly functioning as a temporary basin for dewatering the site. So I mean, to say that we've got standing groundwater, I'd have 5 feet of water in this lot 4 basement. I'd have 5 feet of water in lot 6 basement. Both are dry.
Okay.
So it's merely an area that was saturated that we're using for dewatering as we proceed throughout.
And it's very, very important to remember that the entire design of the subdivision, from the roadway to basements to systems, it's all in fill. It's all above the existing grade.
Right.
So to kind of circumspect or just make judgments based on what you see in the surface for what's going on
Did
in
you
the
put a lot of
underlying.
stone on the bottom? Did you just fill? Because sometimes when you put a lot of stone,
Of 5?
yeah.
5's just silted up. That's just, we've been pushing muddy water into that thing for 4 or 5 months now. I don't think it's an indication of groundwater. I agree with Mr. Graffi. If we had started this septic and we were doing a bed bottom and it was percolating groundwater, then we'd have to step back and reevaluate, so we didn't deliver home with a septic.
Right.
But that didn't happen.
Okay.
So now all of a sudden he wants to reset groundwater based on this temporary dewatering basin that we have adjacent with that's going to be a future foundation hole. And, we came out here and put 6 or 650,000 into this thing. And the day we're looking for occupancy permit, he says he wants to retest and maybe redo the system, which it just seems unfair.
I appreciate,
By going into the D box, would that show you anything?
Opening the D-box?
yeah,
We can open the D-box.
to
I mean,
find out.
that's-
to
If
find
the
out.
groundwater was high, I would think you'd be able to see it in the
At the end of the
D box.
day, I think the big key point is that this system is 5 feet off what was established at groundwater elevation, 16 inches down. So groundwater theoretically would have risen over 5 feet to be into that system, 3.5 feet over existing grade.
Okay.
Which means this detention pond here would be flooded.
Would be containing
Instead,
standing
it's
water.
percolating. As late as 2 weeks ago. I mean, when he came out here on the 20th, we had reports from the water department. The first 9 days in April, we had 4 inches of rain.
So so that was the last time we saw you, right? The
April
20th.
20th.
Not- After that, he didn't come on there.
I
Nobody saw
haven't
anything.
seen him since.
Okay, I don't know what the board says, but the question is, I appreciate as a chair from the board, but I'd like to see what they have to say. And then, this is only a discussion, and we always confer with Jim Garaffi, because through his support, you have our support. Okay, would you like to say anything, Peter?
Well, the thing is, it's an unusual case, first of all. I haven't ever ran into that where we have a completed system and there's some concerns about whether the system is going to work. I'm sure that's what Jim is looking at.
Right.
And not sitting and talking with Jim and seeing if there's, any real necessity after what the engineer here had to offer. It doesn't sound like, it would be a thing that you'd have to do is to be digging up really around the system again, and then what's it gonna prove? I'm not sure. That's the thing, is I don't know. I'm not,
Right, he went at April 20, so if he does go again, maybe it will be different. The question is nice if he makes an effort to come and talk to you guys and show them.
well, I think they're looking to sell the house
I
now,
know.
and they're in
I know, but
a
this is only
bind,
this-
and obviously,
According to what I was told, this is only a discussion,
Right, so
okay? You wanna say
essentially, so
something?
Jim is not comfortable signing off on the certificate of occupancy for the building permit. So that's why they wanted to come before the board, because they missed the agenda posting. I couldn't list it as an agenda item, but I did send an email to town council asking for their opinion on whether, if you made a vote on this tonight, whether that is okay under administrative matters, or if they felt it should be on an agenda, which would be May 23rd. But if you decide you want to take some action on it tonight, you can make it conditional on the response from town council as to whether it's okay under open meeting law, because it wasn't listed as an agenda item. Otherwise, it would just have to be held till May 23rd.
What I'd just like to add is, you have the power to issue the certificate of compliance. It doesn't need to come from Jim, and I think that's done administratively all the time. But the safeguard that this system is going to work is that they're at the very beginning of a 20-plus lot subdivision. He's in there, he's on every other lot, doing every other thing. He's dewatering, he's making sure all the basins work, he's making sure the drainage works. He's certainly not going to sell a lot that he feels strongly has water problems. They've proven that it doesn't have the water problems.
But I also have to consult with my board. First of all, we don't have a full board. But I wanted to see what the rest of the board, because having the power is consult, we want to do things right, and then everybody should be happy. I'm sorry the inconvenience, but we are working with inspector all the time, you know what I mean? And we respect his decisions, and sometimes the discussion, maybe you have to come back, but the question, I'll leave it up to the board, what they like to do. Leave it up to, Peter, you already made this,
Well, you know, it's like I say, it's an unusual thing.
Yeah.
I can see what Jim's saying. Jim obviously is concerned. He's not really known to be a hard ass, if you will, I guess. And he generally, we do sometimes not go along with him. But not really being on site, not knowing exactly what's going on.
I will,
I'm a little edgy, but I know what you folks want to do too.
Right,
You're
right.
trying to get something done there, so, I don't know.
well, John, what do you think, John?
So-
Should we have the courtesy to have Jim just come and to
So
us?
I guess I have some questions, just, I'm a little slow, so bear with me on asking these questions.
On lot 5?
Yeah, is there a house on lot 5 or just the system's in
Just
and
the
the
system.
whole,
Oh, the
right?
system's not even there.
Lot 4.
It's 4 in
is-
question.
Four that
is
has this
fully
system.
built, systems built, as built. Lot 5 is the adjacent lot with
Right.
nothing but an open cellar.
Okay, so, as a developer, you hold money in escrow, right? In case there's any sort of post-development,
Right.
before you get that money back out of escrow, in case there's any issues that have to be addressed, and then you get that money back, and you pay for it out of escrow, right?
Regarding the site,
Just, yeah, as a developer, right?
yeah, there's a road bond for 400,000 in cash right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I guess, is it just for road and road improvements, or, so I'm wondering if a buyer ends up with an issue after the fact, we don't do anything, just, you know, what recourse
Right.
would a buyer have if the system, if there are leaks, because.
If the system failed and the
Yeah.
buyer put a third party out there and dug the system up and groundwater was 5 feet higher than what was proposed, they have access to my 5 million of liability and Hancock's probably 10 million of liability because they
Yeah.
certified the groundwater. So the buyer would be substantially covered,
Yeah.
as well as our reputation, as well as the fact we've been doing this for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I can't, he's basing it on a silt hole adjacent to the lot, which is,
Right.
you know, is not going to necessarily percolate as quickly as it is. We channel water towards the thing on a regular basis, runoff from 2 or 3 acres of open space there right now. There's a detention pond to the right of it, which is infiltrating, which is below that level. So, you know, there's so many circumstances that say to us, this is not groundwater. It's not groundwater, because this is an all-open field across the street, substantially lower, showing no water. We've got a stream across the street here, substantially lower, showing maybe 6 inches of water in it. I just can't fathom how it's groundwater. The basement's dry, the adjacent basement's dry. It just happens that the basement across the street is. He got to look at the bed bottom,
Yep.
you know, so I mean.
So based on,
For us, it's the hardship is, if I continue to come out here and put, you know, I've got millions of dollars at risk here with houses based on soil tests certified by a professional and witnessed by your professional, and then I go from there and trust that system and put these houses up, and times 9, it's $5, $6, $7 million, and then I'm subject to the agent coming back and saying, I can't sign off. We want to test again, and if anything's different, then what am I going to do? Tear the house down? I mean, it's nearly impossible to function this way
Yep.
for any of us, and that's why I think the state and the code has established a system that we no longer use standing groundwater. We use estimated seasonal high to protect the consumer, and it's witnessed by a licensed soil evaluator and an engineer, and it's witnessed by your professional. And everybody proceeds there, and I think the safety check to that, quite honestly, guys, is they get another look at it when you do the bed bottom. You get to see the walls of that hole and the virgin soil. If it's not holding standing water, it's not showing the modeling again. Man, I don't know what else we can do.
I'm gonna ask the board, is there any way if we can see Jamie about next week instead of waiting 2 weeks? Can we do that? Can we just? And
I'm
then
traveling.
Pardon me?
I'm not around next week. You're asking about an ad hoc meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not around next week.
so this is a situation,
I mean, it's
It-
the board's discretion. You can make a decision conditioned on,
believe me that I trust you, okay? She knows me more than you people know me. Sometimes I say too many, yes. The question is now, because the house, it could be on sale and everything, we want to just, not for you to lose the customer, we want to say, if we could just wait a week, can he come and we have?
can't come Tuesday nights, so,
No,
He's not
every
available
Tuesday
Tuesday.
night there's
Yeah,
what about
okay.
a Tuesday day, I can talk to him? What about if I just talk to him?
well, you can talk to him anytime, but
Yeah,
you can't
I
come
can
to
talk,
meetings.
that's what I'm saying,
But the next meeting's not till May 23rd.
Okay, what I'm saying is, if we make a decision now and we hold it, okay? And if he says, I wanted to go see the lot again,
Well,
number 4, am I
This
correct?
is essentially the same as a building permit that comes before you that he falls out of his jurisdiction of signing for, these basements and in-law apartments and things.
Right.
You have the authority to sign this.
Which we
He-
usually do.
He, as he says in his comments, is not comfortable signing this unless he got another test hole. So that's why they're here tonight, asking for the board to sign off. The only issue I have is that it was not a posted agenda item, so just to clarify that it could be handled in this administrative session instead of being a posted agenda item, if you choose to make a decision to sign off on that. If you want to wait till the 23rd, you can wait till the 23rd.
No,
but-
but,
The thing is, you weighing this, not having been out on site, not seeing that. But on the other hand, his livelihood, his stamp, his engineering thing
Correct.
says that he has built that to a certain degree.
Correct.
And he's held responsible for it.
Correct.
So you got that factor, and they got the other factor of not being out on site and not running into this before. We've had a system completed, and then someone says, I don't think it's gonna work. We gotta do more testing and have the potential to tear it all up.
well,
So,
I only say one thing is, I'm familiar with it. I can go with Jimmy, and the same day he comes here, without interfering with the meeting, and we can go see it.
what do you tend to gain, though? Do you wanna go out and see it yourself?
Because this has been done in April 20, so now it's May. So what I'm saying is, if Jimmy comes with me, we go look, he will give me the decision, I just look, and I says, hey, maybe,
So I don't know that we need that. So Jim's given us his opinion. I don't he says he'd like to get a hole, have you dig some holes to assess the water table again. But what he doesn't provide us, what he would feel, at least I can't get out of this, what he would feel would be a pass. What other information he would get to make him happy. I think he's punting this, which is fine. That's part of it. He's like, well, here's something, I'm not sure what to make of it. There's some extenuating things here, et cetera. So I don't know that we have to do that. Two, I don't think going out to the site's gonna help. We had heavy rain last
That's what
weekend,
I'm saying.
and we're gonna get heavy rain this weekend. That water isn't going anywhere, if, that- you know, if it's all just because of extra water and
Right,
extra
right,
rain and it's running off. Frankly, I'm
The other
comfortable
thing, John-
making a decision now. I
The
don't,
other thing too is, talking to Sickaback, I've talked to different guys that are digging, not only installers, but guys saying piping and everything. They're saying 4 feet down, it's dry as a bone. All the
Yeah.
rain that we got has not really penetrated
Right, right.
yeah,
into the ground
It's
level,
just, it stays up, yeah.
which would bear out what
right,
these guys are saying.
right. So, I mean, it's my opinion. Personally, I don't think we would need to wait. I mean, Jim's given us his thoughts, but I don't feel
Well,
we need
if
to
we
wait.
approved it under some type of reservation or something that,
To make everybody happy.
Well, I think there's a component here, my builder's license is all in the line if something's wrong with this system, right? If I don't make good on it. His
Professional
professional
engineering
engineer's license is on the line.
line.
My installer's license is on the line. I mean, there are a lot of livelihoods at stake to say that we Mickey Mouse this thing to get to a closing, that certainly didn't happen.
I understand.
We got a full view of the testing and certification. We got a second peek at it when we dug the bed bottom. We're 25 years of doing this. I'm a civil engineer as well by education. I'm comfortable with this thing. It's a 5-foot offset to what was estimated seasonal high, not witnessed groundwater, estimated seasonal high, and then a 5-foot offset to that.
3.5 feet
Unequivocally,
above
no doubt,
existing
the
grade.
system functions well.
So not being an engineer myself, one of his things that he says could be a factor here is the road potentially serving as a dam. And so I guess the water just can't flow away, but,
Well, then, to support his argument, when we did a bed bottom inspection
yeah,
in the spring, the road was in. That's all the evidence he needs, that the road is damming up that groundwater and flooding out that lot. And it didn't happen.
yeah.
If that's his
Plus you
theory,
would think across multiple lots along that road.
yeah, we'd have trouble everywhere. We'd have water in basements on that side of the road, no questions asked, and we don't. With all respect to Mr. Graffey, I think it's a witch hunt, quite honestly. He's taking an open hole that we're using for runoff and channelization and dewatering as standing groundwater. But if you look at the hole adjacent to that, which is a detention basin, that highly functioning, draining, lower level. I mean, to me, we question why he would do this to us, quite honestly.
well, it's.
I don't have an answer for that, and I
So-
don't pretend to have an answer for
But yeah,
that. but
again, on the other side of the issue, I mean, he's a.
He's your eyes and
technical
ears.
person,
I get it.
And we rely on him heavy to.
Yep.
Another thing, if you read his last sentence of his comments, he talks about requiring a review for the permits of 5, 6, and 7, which the systems are not in for any of those, to ensure the water table offsets. So you could, if the board is leaning towards signing the certificate of compliance for this particular lot, you could do it conditioned on that is done for 5, 6, and 7 before the systems are put in. That's,
So lots 5, 6, and 7 have signed permits?
No. So again, we're revisiting the same situation that we're talking about
Oh, you can
right
see the
now.
backside.
So 5, 6, and 7 are the 3 adjacent lots on the street. And we've already gone through the process
Right,
of
you guys have.
establishing seasonal high groundwater. We've elevated that side of the site with fill. To revisit it is the same conversation that we're having right now on Lot 4. It doesn't make sense, in our professional opinion, to hypothetically just grasp at straws to say that groundwater has fundamentally changed in this area without any basis.
We have foundations in on 6 and 7.
6 and 7 are already in.
It scares me for all 30 lots, quite honestly.
So once we open this kind of, as you described it, witch hunt, where does it end? To what end do we have to retest every lot in the subdivision? Do we have to test every 30 days, 60 days? Do we have to do it before we put the foundation in? Do we have to do it right after it? there's no end, and it's not prescribed in Title V to do that. We followed the process to the T. It was witnessed, approved, designed, approved. They're gonna be constructed, witnessed, as-built. The as-built approved to the design. All of these checks are in place.
The bed bottom is your second check. That's your second look at it, the bed bottom inspection.
Well, there have been instances where during the installation of a system, they've asked for an additional hole. That happens routinely. So it's not unusual to
During
to ask for that.
installation, huh?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
But these guys are all done.
with that system, but I'm saying he's talking about 5, 6, and 7 are also lots that he's questioning, and that's where he references the section of Title V that is allowed to ask for further determination, so.
I would ask the board to consider focusing on Lot 4 tonight. That's the buyer that's at hand. And that will give us an opportunity to go back and negotiate with Jim and work with Jim on what we think are groundwater versus non-groundwater issues, some of which has to do with some water accumulation that's as a result of these heavy rains, and we're working with conservation on, and that should be ameliorated in the next couple of weeks, guys, when we go back to conservation. So I think we should just focus on 4. We're asking
I
this
kind of
board.
agree with you, Sherry. That makes a lot of sense to me, because 4 obviously is done. Things can be looked at on 5, 6, and 7. So you got that opportunity to
Yep.
do that.
Yep.
So
I'll leave it to the board.
I think, I'd go along with contingent on some of the concerns that he has for Lot 5, 6, and 7,
Uh,
even if we have to go out with him to see.
Right, but we probably, maybe we can say something about the 4, maybe even though it's ready to be sold, am I correct, practically?
Yeah, the closing was last Friday.
Yeah, so we can just, like he says, they will be responsible for it. The question
So,
is,
the question is how do we do this? We're gonna do,
first
letter
of all,
of compliancy? I don't know what he
I
gives
think it
you.
would just be approval of the as-built.
So basically, on the building permit, the Board of Health has to sign off in order to issue an occupancy certificate. And then separately, the Board of Health issues their own certificate of compliance. So the board would be signing off on both of those instead of Jim signing off on them.
And we're asking that as to Lot 4 only. As to 5, 6, and 7, we'll go back and deal with Jim. And he's gonna require us to deal with him before he gives the
So,
permits
let me
anyway.
understand,
And
if we're gonna sign off on this, the permits here that we're gonna sign off on?
Yeah, I
Do you
have it in my,
them here?
I have it in my office. I have the building permit, which is, I can't release the occupancy certificate issued through the building department until the Board of Health signs off on the building permit.
Okay. So do you have it?
Mhm.
I entertain a motion then.
Well, I'll make the motion, well, I kinda did make the motion, that we, sign the certificate of compliance for Lot 4, and
And not for 5, 6, and 7.
And to look further, talk with Jim to reassess his concerns on 5, 6, and 7.
John?
So I would like, maybe it's just for capturing this, to amend it a little bit and just make it a little bit clearer and say we will table any and further discussion on 5, 6, and 7 until site visits and further discussion with Jim. We'll just remove 5, 6, and 7 from this. It separates, I think, a little bit
Yeah.
cleaner,
No, that's
So just
fine.
make it for
but
4, yep.
still.
Thank you.
You wanna say something, Lynn?
And we can make this decision tonight, even though it's not on the agenda?
Ken, I would make it subject to that I just get confirmation from town council that this is an administrative matter and not anything that needed to be, it's not speaking specifically to any personal property owner's property or a specific
Plus you
person.
don't have butters and all that
Right,
stuff.
so
which
it
you
really,
involve-
there's nothing that's
involved.
being affected by this, so I think it can be discussed under administrative matters and a decision made, but I just want clarification from town council before I release that CO.
But the other thing now, we were supposed to have a hearing at 7:15, and it's
Yeah.
That's okay,
Should we
wait.
do the signing later on?
We
And
can do, you don't mind waiting, or we are?
Yeah, because I don't want to release the CO until I hear from
Yeah.
town council that they're
Okay.
okay, but they'll sign it tonight, I'll have the CO in hand, and as soon as I get the okay from town council that it was okay to handle this under administrative matters,
Let's go
I
through
can
the
release that
motion
from the
so they
building
can go.
department.
Because I think it's essentially an approval of the as-built, correct?
It's
Yes
a
and no.
sign off on the building permit
Yeah,
to
okay.
release the occupancy. What, I'll have to talk to Jim about how the CO from Neshoba is issued, but,
And you have to sign a letter to let us know if something ever happened, they come after you guys, not after us.
Now they're coming after us anyway.
yeah,
and I'll keep you on the 23rd. I mean, you can have more discussion with Jim about 5, 6, and 7. I'll keep you for the 23rd for 5, 6, and 7 if the discussion needs to be talked about, and then a decision can be made on any of those.
Thank you.
But it at least addresses Lot 4 for tonight.
All right?
Second?
Motion
Well, I
made.
can't second it because I amended
Okay.
the motion, so someone else would need to second it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations on your election and your re-election.
We close this, and we wrapping up.
oh, that's different.
So this is for, this just came in for Harwood.
Very vague in his recommendations and wording that he hasn't.
But he may be overworked.
Yeah, I know
That's the issue.
They got a lot of issues out there. And I think there's a lot of factors that read into it, so I think looking further into 5, 6, and 7 makes sense.
Yeah, you
but
think so?
4 is in, it's installed. It's-
Oh, yeah.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you. I heard you got out of
Yeah.
jury duty.
I did get on the jury.
That's the big thing.
It was awesome.
We're on the select
Postponed
line.
though.
I'm going to open the meeting for 7:15, which is now 7:40 practically, okay? And we'll do the minutes later and the correspondence
Oh, yeah,
later.
no
Okay?
problem.
Okay, then, I open the meeting for 7:15, hearing 317 Harvard Avenue. Request for hearing March 30, which now is not March, but now is May. Okay. This, now, the minutes is all.
Jim, how you doing?
You do? Fine. Now, you received the letter that we sent?
Yes,
and I
sir.
And I signed it?
Yes.
Now, before the board will say anything, I'd like to let you know, June 1st, okay, is the deadline, no extension. Now, I want you to be prepared for it, so do what you have to do. If you have to get rid of the land, the room there, even a little bit of loss, it'd be better than going to court, just to let you know, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I know you have an attorney here, she will speak in your behalf, but the question is, in my recommendation to the board, no more extension. All right? And we're trying to be nice to our neighbors and to our town. We only trying to do and trying to make everybody happy. And then, I hope never again somebody will come here and complain about what you do next, because nobody's saying anything about what you're doing right now. Now you have to take the loom away and everybody be happy. And now I open the meeting to the board.
Yeah, I got a bunch of questions, and I have to agree with our chairman that we originally had December 1st as the date, and listening to you folks, we felt that it was, in the benefit for you guys to go to June 1st, and now it looks like you're not gonna make June 1st. Now, my questions are, what happened in the meantime? And also, what is creating the odor? From what I understand, it's not just opening up the compost. It's doing something with it, you're screening it, or what's happening with it?
Can I just interrupt for a minute? The operation's being done by Vinnie, right?
Correct, as far as the screening.
Would you answer the chair's questions about what's creating the odor? How much odor? What's being done? Where are you at?
For screening compost. If there's an odor, I'm not aware of it. Rich doesn't tell me there's an odor. Other than screening and removing compost, we're screening topsoil. We mix the screened compost with the topsoil.
So you're not just taking mulch out, you're doing a mixing process at that
So
site?
there's soil there, there's
Yeah.
topsoil, and there's the compost that's matured, that's the dark material. And that's screened, runs through a trommel screen, and it's mixed with the topsoil that's there, and we create a soil, we load it on our trucks, and we remove it.
How much gets removed a day?
It ranges, it could be anywhere from 90 yards. Each trailer has a capacity of approximately 30 cubic yards. Usually there's a minimum of 3 loads. I would say a maximum of 7 loads. That's not every day, it's sporadic.
What drives the amount that's removed on a given day? What determines that?
We
The amount
have,
of time it takes to mix, to screen and mix, or?
this time of year, now that it's drying, the material is dry, we have a little bit of wind, we have sun. You get a much higher yield than you would, say, a month ago. We're able to screen maybe 60 yards, 70 yards an hour when it's dry. And what drives the amount of material going out is the availability of trucks. We usually use our own trucks, occasionally we'll hire a truck. But it's the market that drives the material. We try to bring as much material as we can to a retail site to move it. You know, we fit as much as we possibly can there. But there's also customers that will take it in bulk, you know, bring it right to their yard or a job.
Right.
That's what drives the, removal. May and June are probably they are our 2 biggest sales months of the entire year. We do 50 to 70% of our gross sales in those 2 months. So, I said to Rich just a few minutes ago, I think it might, most of it would be gone by June 1st, the way it's going now.
What happens with the rain? Have you been slowed down by
The
the
rain
rains?
kills us. I think I just told you, we can do maybe 50 to 70 yards an hour when it's dry. You get 1 day of rain, you're lucky if you can get 12 to 15 yards an hour. It's just the nature of the beast.
And do you have to wait for it to dry to work it again?
Yes, and
So can you calculate how many days you lost in April,
I
let's say, with
haven't,
all the
but
rains?
probably could. I mean, we have had a lot of rain. I think I said that in the letter.
So what will be left in your reasonable estimation, what will be left on June 1st?
There's 2 windrows there now.
Yeah, there's 2
There's
windrows.
2 windrows. I was there today.
I'm thinking maybe a half of a windrow, if that.
Well, as you're aware, we had set up, when we pushed the date out to June 1st, we also wanted to put a penalty in it, to fine per day. Are you aware of that? You must be aware of that.
A penalty? No, I didn't know about that.
I was supposed to sign a letter, just to let you know. It's, according to their attorney, to fine him $1,000. I scratched that out. I'm not ashamed to say it. The question is, we give him an extension, but I said to him, that is it, June 1st. If he can't get it, whatever the weather, June 1st is it. He can donate whatever he's got left. It's better to go to court, and it's gonna cost him. The attorney will love him. I'll represent you, but it's gonna cost them. Maybe the fine will never be fined by the judge, but it's a cost that they're gonna aggravate so many people, and even himself and you. If you got anything left, donate it. That's it, get rid of it, so that way they can't say nothing. Because now, it's gonna be us, tomorrow, you know who's gonna be? The court. It's gonna have to go to court. I wanted to save you guys money, all right? I'm sure the attorney will love us. I don't know who's the attorney over here. So the question is, we have a letter from the attorney, and they should be fined $1,000, which I had that only when I sent them the letter. I was kind enough, they cut it off.
No, so just to clarify a little bit, there was originally, I think, language in an original draft that said up to $1,000 a
That's
day.
right.
That was the original language, and that's based on statute. That instead, what we did, so then we pulled all language out that pertained to a dollar amount, but we referenced the statute. And so we didn't put a dollar amount, but the statute's in there. There was a vote before the board at the last meeting that we put back in at $250 a day. We voted that down, and frankly, we voted it down so that we as a board had the ability to still fine up to $1,000 a day. After further discussion, we approved the letter as it was without anything. The feeling was the statute was in there, and that statute says we have the ability to fine up to $1,000 a day after the deadline. So that
And
is
I wanted
still
to say
there.
thank you to our board, because I did not act there alone. I just felt it, that we give them the date, and the date will be it.
So the statute's there. It's my understanding that that's there, and we still have that ability. We chose not to put a dollar amount in, so we had flexibility to go from anywhere from saying, well, nope, we won't levy any fine up to $1,000. And we would take any circumstance and discussion under consideration and then set that fine in real time, I suspect. So that's how this evolved over the last
The
month.
other thing too is, who was the letter sent to? Was it sent to both,
No, it was sent it just to him.
just to Richie?
And I
He's the
just want,
property owner, so.
Right, so it was felt it goes to the property owner, not the
He had
subcontractor.
to have the ability to read it, and just wanted to make sure that he knows. And he knows, but I don't, if it goes away from us and goes to court, I just wanted to avoid all these problems, because the attorney love to make money.
well, I would
And
just
not
like,
out of my dime.
I would just like to back up one step and ask, gentlemen, what is the nuisance that you are targeting here? And has that been measured in any objective way? Subjectively, I understand the neighbors are complaining about odor, but, people complain about the horse manure next door to me. So is there an objective requirement by the statute? And I have this on a website that was a thing on composting, and it says 5 DTs at the property line. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it's a measurement that's objective, that needs to be ascertained to determine if he's in violation of anything at all. Having said that,
No, I think because it's a nuisance, it's my understanding, because it's a nuisance, it's a documented nuisance, that it doesn't need an objective number. I'm not sure what that is, and
Plus the fact the health agents and board members have gone out, they've witnessed the odor too.
but at the
But
property line, I've
can't-
witnessed the odor in the center of the property. I've not witnessed the odor at the property line.
I've witnessed it, and again, we have documented multiple instances that have been reported, and then, to my knowledge, all of those, at least one board member has gone out, and then again, put together our own personal rating, because what is unbearable to one person is fine to another. Smoking in a bar doesn't bother me. I grew up in it, still doesn't bother me. Other people can't walk into it, and I get that. So the nuisance range is a difference. That's why 2 years ago, we went down this path of, once it's documented, then we would all go out and do that. Now, every time that I've gone out, I've never gone onto the property. I've gone down Colonial Drive, I've gone into and stopped at multiple parts of the cul-de-sac Is that Richard Way?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then even down at the corner. And I've, in my emails back, I've said, this smells like composting leaves, or this smells like grass. Out of a 5, 1 to 10, I'd say this is a 4, or maybe this is an 8. So we've all done that, and we have that documented. And from our discussions, and what we've been told, is that sufficient as far as documenting a nuisance?
Thank you, John.
So the best thing is if he could get that stuff out of there.
Because I like
by
to
June
point it out.
1st. Is there any way you can get it out?
I think we can, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, we
I
made a
don't know
lot of
what the
progress
weather's
here.
gonna do
You
in the
do the
next
best you can. What
2
I'm,
weeks, but
if I can interject, Peter, I wanted to tell him because I went there many, many times. I was also able to go in his property because he's a kind person. So he let me see, he let me go in. I went all the way to half of it. You can hardly smell it. But the question, when the wind goes by, I went all the way to the end. And this smell, just a little, you know what I mean? There is not a 10 like all the time, because even they may statement that it's not always a 10. But I can smell a little bit like a 3. It doesn't bother me. I work in construction for 4 years, doesn't bother me. I mean, I work 90 feet under the ocean. Should I smell? Yes, I smell fish, dead fish. But I'm saying that some people can't take that. And I can understand that, you know what I mean? And he understands it because we used to this smell. He's used to because he's working on it.
So,
You know what I mean? So I went there many times, not only one
Let
time
me
or
just
3
hold
times.
you up a bit. The question is people have complained, it's gone on for a long time.
Yeah,
We decided to approach it as a nuisance.
we did.
And we've given
Plenty of time.
Richie
Yes,
and Mr. Bueller time
yes.
to cease. And
Right.
we even extended in December to June
Right.
with the hopes that they would get it done,
Right,
and it
right.
didn't get done. So
And I
now
hope-
you're
Right.
set here, and everybody knows that there's a concern, and
Yeah.
it looks like we're a bunch of fools for not
No,
doing anything.
Right, the question is, they don't have much left, because almost the loom that is right in front of it. Even when I go by every day, I can smell it. But the question is, when the wind go that way, even though it's in the front, you can smell it. Some people bothers more than
I
the
realize
rest.
that, sure.
Right, so what I'm saying is, we give them the courtesy to extend it for so many times. I hope you understand that, because we're not enemy here. We're trying to help people to a point where the other side, they say, hey, what are those people doing? How much you can, let go. It's gonna cost you more money if you keep a little bit and say, well, are we gonna extend it for another 2 weeks? It's not worth it. I lost thousands and thousands of dollars when I had to do something that was not done in the day, and it cost me money. So just let it go
so
and continue doing the wood.
we get that the neighbors don't want to put up with the odor all summer long, and I get that. And he's representing that he thinks he can get it all off by June 1.
You do the best
And
you
as a
can.
practical matter, it better be off by June 1. I'm tired of being here, they're tired of being here. Why don't we come back for a check on what's left on May 23rd at your next meeting?
It'll be fine.
And then, at that point, we can have a realistic discussion about if June 1 isn't possible, what should the fines be for the number of days after June 1 to put some
Yeah, and
feet to the fire here.
Today's the 9th, right?
Today is the 9th.
So next meeting's the 23rd. Can we get, throughout the next 2 weeks, regularly intervals of the
Well,
pile left?
Jim was supposed to be going out, I don't know if he ever did.
Well, you did.
I would give it to you, but
Okay.
here's my problem. When I was there today, I don't have a sense of how many trailer loads
I
are
don't
left
either.
So I-
to say
yeah.
what's
No, but I
accomplished by
guess
taking them out.
I guess, so I don't think what you're suggesting is unreasonable, but then that means from today to 2 weeks from now, I have no sense at all on what's been done. So, for example, right, without seeing it today, but then I get a photo on the 23rd, I don't know if anything's moved.
Right.
And if nothing's moved, frankly, I might be moved to be very strict with respect to proposing a fine, but I wouldn't have any reference.
So let's ask Mr. Mueller, because a photo won't do it. Photos can be angled in
Right,
such a way
right.
they don't do it. Let's ask
At
Mr.
the end of
Mueller.
each day, we know how much has left the site, because truck drivers just give receipts at the end of the day and we tally it up. So it's easy enough for me to, first of all, go out and quantify what's there.
In some way, I
Should
guess,
be
whether
able-
it's photographed or whatever. That's fine.
Should be able to quantify it by measuring the pile. And then, at the end of the week, I can send someone an email and say, we've moved out X amount of yards. And then the following week, we've moved out X amount of yards, this is what we have left. It's probably the easiest way to
Whatever's.
keep you posted.
Right, whatever, so, what I guess what I'd like to know is what's there now, or tomorrow at the end of the day. What's there a week from now, and then what's there the 23rd, the day of the 23rd.
I think
That
that's
gives a
reasonable.
sense, and I know that it's gonna be heavy rains potentially on Sunday. But that's still, we're still looking at 3 weeks, 3+ weeks. And so we can get a sense of what's left and then what the rate of which it's moving over the next 2 weeks.
Makes sense.
I have a hard time understanding what's been moved in the last month, because we don't have that starting point reference, other than, you said there's 1.5 windrows left?
I think there was, originally 3?
I think there were, I thought there were 4 when we started this thing, and there's 2 left now.
There's 2 left.
Yeah.
So just having that, understanding that change is gonna help then greatly understand what progress is made.
Yeah.
So-
Question, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I guess then the last thing I was gonna ask was, so as you noted, one of the, so there's multiple driving factors in how fast you can move stuff off. Weather, the moisture of the piles, and so the rate at which you can screen these, mix them and get them, the trucks. And then, as you've stated before, the market. So in the absence of that, is there an avenue for you to just move it and deal with it later?
Right now, the market isn't a problem. Right now, the only
Yeah, but answer the
Negative.
question. He's saying,
So in the absence
assuming
of
the
that,
market's a
so let's-
problem, what are you
let's-
gonna do with the
Yeah, let's say
piles?
in
that-
2 weeks, you've not moved any of this because you've not had a market or the weather's been bad. Is there an avenue to say, we're gonna move everything out now and we'll deal with the operation somewhere else?
It'd be nice if somebody be able to help you, because there is somebody that has a pile like that.
I'm just wondering, what I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to get to is, the neighbors don't care what the market bears. Now, I get that this is the time of year where this stuff moves, and this is where it all moves. It's like when you grow strawberries, it's
Right.
now, right? But if that dries up, the neighbors they don't care. And so I'm wondering, and I'm inclined, after all this, to not care either. So in the absence of that, let's say that becomes rate limiting. Is there a way, can it just get moved?
So I think the better question,
23rd, I think if we.
the better
Yeah.
You get a
question
sense,
is,
right,
what's
right,
left on
right.
the
So-
23rd, and
right.
how can you get it off the site if
So
you
right,
don't
so
have
I'm
enough
asking the
time
question
to
now for
loom
to
it?
prep,
Yeah,
for 2 weeks from now.
yeah.
Then we have that discussion.
So his question is, can you move it off the site without screening it when what's left is nowhere near going to be completed by June 1? Can we get it off the site some other way and not screen it on site?
Well, you're asking me whether or not I would have a customer that could take the material.
Or a
No, I'm
yard
asking
to
if you
bring it
put
to.
You have somewhere to take it or whatever. I'm just saying, I'm trying to
You have a
understand,
location.
yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
another location.
what are the alternatives?
The location that I have in Waltham will only hold,
So
so many
much.
yards of material.
Okay.
So, I don't know how many yards we're gonna have. I'm
No.
saying we're gonna have nothing by
Right.
June 1st,
I hope
at least
so.
I'm hoping.
Right.
But if there's 400 yards, I can't fit all that in my yard.
Mhm.
I could fit 200. So you'd have 200 yards left over, so that's approximately 6 or 7 loads. That shouldn't be hard for me to call someone that I know and say, hey, can you take 6 or 7 trailer loads of material? It has to be off by, whatever,
So
June
the
3rd.
answer is yes.
Yeah, I should be able to do it.
So the answer is, in the absence of a market, there's an
In a
avenue
perfect
for.
world, yes.
Some
Okay,
avenue
all
to
right,
take
I
it.
think.
And I think if we meet on May 23rd, that'll
We'll-
give them another
we'll
full
understand
week
what
to
we-
find that market if we need to.
The other question I have, is there any way of baiting, any of the odor through your process? Or is that,
What odor? I mean, I don't
I
know
don't know, I
what.
can't smell, I've never smelled any odor there, so I have no idea what.
So it's,
I don't know what is it a foul odor? Is it
So
a
I-
sweet odor?
so
I don't know.
so Gino, you may want to
Sour.
go
open it up
Yeah, yeah.
for,
No,
you know,
no,
for
We're talking
comments.
currently,
Wait a-
not
Yeah,
a month
currently.
ago.
John.
I will say that I was out there.
John,
What?
excuse me to interrupt. We're gonna sell this for June 1st, there's nothing to open it up. That's it.
Well, I-
Nothing to
So,
open it
so
up.
can I mean,
Go ahead.
so I'm
Yes, go ahead.
vice chair, I'd actually
Yeah,
like
go
to
ahead.
respectfully disagree. There
Yeah.
are people here, if they want to filibuster, I think we can let them. So I do think there's something to open up and hear from that. I don't think we cannot let them talk
Well,
on
I-
this subject.
I
So I'm
tell-
just saying,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
whether it,
just to let you-
whether it moves the
Yeah.
needle
Yeah.
for you or me or anybody
No,
else
no,
on the
no,
board,
that-
it doesn't
that-
matter,
that's
but they
fine.
get to
The
talk.
question is, I tell you what, we give them
But-
10 minutes, that's it.
Well, so
If he's
I think we're here for as long as they want to talk, by and large, as long as they keep it, you know what I mean? But you're the chair, you can control that, I'm just giving my input. Having said that, before you go to them, I will say that I've gone out on a couple times, not, again, I work in Cambridge, so if something comes up during the week, I'm almost never able to. I was able to once during the week because I was working from home, so I shot out there. I could smell it, it was bad. It smelled like composting material.
How long ago?
It would have been in April. It might have been school vacation week, because I might have been home a few days that week.
Especially when it rained.
Yeah, it's probably, no, it was dry as a bone. It was as dry as a bone.
But when it
So-
rains, it's more, worse.
But I'm just saying, it was dry as a bone. And then there were a couple weekends where I went out. And again, we have to look, I sent emails to the board.
I don't think,
But it was
So-
as
so
local
I'm
as
just-
Saturday.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that I've gone out on a couple occasions during the multiple emails, so I can verify that very strong, and not a lot bothers me, and I don't know if I would even classify it saying it was bothering me, but it was strong. If I was living there, it'd probably bother me. So you know, and I'm sure everybody here now, all the neighbors are gonna probably just reiterate the same thing. So that's, just to answer your question, that was the odor, and you're gonna hear this 15 times, it looks like. So that's just the odor, and I think the path we're going down right now is something frankly that we should have gone down last summer.
Site's great site.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Where we understand what the rate of leaving it is and things like that. So we're late to the game on this, but we're there with the decision point that we made and understand on the 23rd. But we really do need to have this, this sort of update, document an update of how much is gone, how much is there tomorrow, how much is gone next Monday, how much is gone the following Tuesday, so we understand how close we're getting and what that rate is, and then we can make an informed decision.
yeah, tomorrow's
No,
Wednesday.
I can get it Thursday.
Thursday, okay for the starting
I'll
rate
email it
measurement?
Sure.
Okay.
to Board of Health.
And then you can send it to, I assume send it to Shelley, right?
Shelley will send
So
it to everybody.
Disseminate it.
that would be my suggestion. I don't know if we need to.
That's good.
Okay. You wanna open it?
You're the man. still.
I'm the man now.
just gonna
Okay,
sit
I
over
open
so I
up.
can
Okay, I tell you what, I know there's a lot of people there. Can we just, now that you know it's gonna be June 1st, can we just select one individual or two at maximum? We don't want the attorney to speak, okay? Tell him to save his money. We just want the people that are affected, okay? Two individuals, select among you.
I should let anybody.
Yeah.
I know, I know.
Time.
It's gonna end
We're here.
up, it's gonna end up everybody practically, but anyway, let's see who has the guts to talk now.
I'll speak.
Go ahead.
I'll say, first of all, I brought an attorney because I thought I was at my wit's end and can't
Oh.
deal with this rationally and productively
Okay,
anymore.
we want to save your money. Go ahead.
Don't worry about my phone.
Okay.
The odor has many emails.
So,
Have,
sorry, excuse me,
What?
can we make sure we get just
Would
who you are?
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm very sorry, John, I
Just so
forgot.
it's all-
Yeah,
yeah.
you don't have to talk about it.
Normally, I don't stand for process.
We know.
on certain
Totally
things,
understand, and I
but-
apologize. Jeff Schachter, 6 Richard Way. I don't directly abut the property, but our street does. I think I have been witness to numerous emails over the past 2 months sent to not all the members of the board, but most of them, and to Shelley and Jim, reporting odors. I have sent several myself. The odor is as strong, if not stronger, than what we've experienced in the past. I suppose with the exception of the grass clippings in 2013. I'll give you that was the worst. But the most recent email I sent was sort of the limit of what I could do constructively in reporting to you. It was a beautiful spring night, the first warm night of the year. And my family and I love to have the windows open at night. My daughter has asthma, and it helps get the dust out. We love the fresh air, waking up to the sound of the birds chirping in the morning, and we couldn't. And that's one of the main reasons we moved to this town. We don't live in the city because we wanted to be able to sleep in the spring with our windows open, and we couldn't. And it was because of the smell. And we like that so much that our threshold for being frustrated is pretty high. We really wanted to keep them open, and we couldn't. It was that strong.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Hi, Cindy Napoli, Springfield Drive. I am not here as a member of the Board of Selectmen. I'm here as a resident. I also work for Perkins and Ansel. I'm not here in that capacity, but I will say that the neighborhood has smelled for many years. I don't live near Richards Way. I'm down around the corner. So I can fully attest to what my neighbors are relaying to you. And I can also appreciate their frustration, to be honest with you. It is very hard when you want to just enjoy your home and you can't. And I know this process has been going on for some time. And I just wanted to ask you, I was just looking at the dates, so you're going to give until the 23rd and assess it, so that leaves...
That's what the board decide.
Right, so it leaves about 6 business days before June 1st. In the event he's just going to move everything out.
He just spoke, you understood what he said, right?
Right, I appreciate their frustration, knowing that this has been going on for years now. I don't know if the board will consider maybe moving the date back before the 23rd to reassess, just in case, in the event 6 days is not enough.
Well, in 6 days, everything's gonna get eliminated.
Right.
Then
If
he's gonna
it,
do the best
if
to
it
get
can be
it.
done in that 6-day time.
He says he
frame.
could.
Okay,
So you're getting at, he might not have enough time?
right, that's my concern. I feel like you're giving more leeway on this end. If you're giving him to the 23rd, why not move it back a week to the 15th? And then evaluate at that point, and then if it comes to the time on the 15th that it's just gonna be to move it out, that gives him more than 6 days to do so if you're gonna comply with the June 1st deadline.
So a couple things.
We would have to have a meeting.
One, we'd have to have a meeting.
You gotta post it.
I'm out of the country
Okay,
most of next week, so
Okay.
I can attend, there's all the attendant things of having a
Okay.
meeting.
right,
2, if it gets to the fact, or to the point where it would be difficult to move whatever's left out in 6 days,
right,
again, I guess I'd have to err on the side of, I don't care, that's what the fine is there for, and that's a pretty motivating factor to
right.
do so.
right. And I appreciate that. I'm just trying to think of them.
No, I
mean,
get that, but
it's-
I don't know that we have
You
that
can't make
time.
it work. No, I just figured I'd put it out
Yeah.
there.
The applicant just agreed that he would give you email updates of what's being moved
Yeah,
out.
and
So in the absence of a meeting, it's not gonna be 2 weeks for nothing to happen.
Okay.
You're gonna see email
Yeah, but
updates.
that's very good, we will get a sense of the rate at which things are leaving.
Right.
In over a couple weeks, it'd be difficult to do that over 1 week.
Right. I just would like to see definite closure on June 1st. I mean, I
yeah.
haven't been involved in this process, but I've been aware of it. I actually think I called when we first started noticing the smell. So I just think if there can be a definitive June 1st, there's going to be closure and there's going to be an end, I just think it would be helpful. It would be
I
And-
agree.
Right, so.
Now, how long have you been smelling it, though? I'm kind of curious,
It's
because
been at
we
least-
started getting like 2013, I believe.
Yeah.
around
It's been
that-
that,
around
and
that time.
when we first started smelling it, I did call the Board of Health. I don't even know who I talked to at that point. But no, we've been smelling it consistently, and we're down around the corner from Richards Way, and many years ago, we had pigs
I
who
remember
went
the
to our
pig issue,
neighborhood. So I can empathize with the situation. That was horrific, if anyone remembers the pigs. So-
I do.
Thank you.
Right,
Anybody else wants to say anything? Go ahead.
I'm absolutely flabbergasted that we're still talking about the smell and questioning the smell and so forth. When I went back and looked at the Board of Health meeting minutes from this time last year, it was basically, I remember it was the first time Miss Gould was here, and she said that she was going to talk to her client and tell them about the birds and bees and say that, we're shutting this down. We heard from all the neighbours that night, and we thought it was going to be done a year ago. Mr. Mula was there that night, and he's quoted as saying, as the operator, he will cease to operate. He is no longer interested in doing composting there. A year later, we're still questioning, is there a smell? Is it a bad smell?
Well, now
Is
he's
this
got him
ridiculous?
Well, I think that the intent at that point in time was they weren't gonna bring any more leaves in.
And they were shutting down the
They were
compost.
shutting it down as far as
Yeah.
what was there was still there.
Okay,
But
so then,
unfortunately, moving it around and
Right.
taking it out
Yeah.
apparently smells.
Yeah.
no, understood. So then in October, Mr. Halloran was there and said that no more leaves have been brought in, composting operation is shut down, there's a small amount of compost left, but it's almost all the way out. And Richard replied that everything will be out by December 1st.
No, that's what we thought too, but
Well,
And then, okay, I'd like to ask the board, who extended it from December 1st to June 1st? Because there's
We
no
did.
record of it anywhere.
was it in, we
This is a
talked
public
about it,
process.
I don't know if we voted on it, I'm pretty sure we voted on it.
It should be in the
That's the
meeting
feeling
minutes.
was at that point, it was inert, he couldn't move it to anywhere, we gave him a real good break on that. He
We just found
Yeah,
out today you
no.
can move it.
no place to put it. So consequently, we said, we'll give it to you June 1st. That's why I think myself and John are pretty concerned that that he does make the June 1st deadline, or we're just gonna get fined.
But again, October, a small amount of compost left, but it's almost all the way out, and everything will be up December 1st. So either more stuff has come in, because two windrows is not a small amount of
Nothing
compost.
came in, nothing came in. I visited almost every other day. I go by that every day.
So I think what you're getting
so
at, and this
why-
is a concern that I've had, and that is documentation, of what's there and what's leaving, right? And we haven't done that. There was some attempt at sort of qualitatively assessing that, and that even hasn't been done. So that was sort of my pressing discussions earlier, was to do that, and to get a sense of that. I think you're right, I don't know what a small amount means, and I don't know what, frankly, I don't know what 90 yards means unless I see it. So, but length times width times height, I get that. So, that will be helpful. That will document it, we'll understand it, but I think you're right, I don't know, that small amount is somewhat nebulous.
So my only concern is that we've been here multiple times before, we seem to be going
Hopefully,
down the
this
same
will be
path.
it.
No, but we've been saying that for 3+ years.
I don't think we trust that this will be it.
Yeah. So that,
I don't think we
that's-
have the trust in the board or the operator, property owner.
Yeah, everything I've heard tonight sounds fantastic, everything will be out by June 1st, problem solved, but we've literally thought we've been here before, and we haven't been. One of our neighbours, our next door neighbour, already moved out of town, moved out of the state because of this. I haven't, worked underwater or anything like that, but I did grow up in Ireland near a farm, and manure spread on the fields, 2 times a year. It didn't smell nearly as bad as some of the smells that are coming off that pile. So you've smelled it. It is absolutely revolting. So I don't want to talk about the smell anymore, but it is there. None of us want to be here. We don't want to spend our time here in
June
these
1st,
meetings.
that'd be it.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
the only question is, I don't know if we can vote on it tonight, or if we have to wait, but we'd like to ask for the maximum fine to be put in place starting on June 1st. We'd like it to be
Well,
documented
there will be,
as an incentive.
that's something for the board to decide, not for you.
Yeah, no,
We'd like you to
I'm suggesting,
consider
I
it.
would like you to consider it, please.
Okay, so,
So I think that
Any-
in and of itself is captured in the minutes, right?
right,
That you guys are requesting.
okay,
That come June 1st,
right.
1 leaf left. Maximum thing. I think that, and that'll be up for, Gino, I don't suspect that that it makes sense to vote on that,
No.
or motion and vote on that. Today, the 23rd, it makes more sense, because we'll have a sense
Yes.
what's been happening.
Not discuss, we'll make a motion for that, for the deadline, the 23rd of May. All right,
Is that helpful, so we
That's
capture
great.
that?
And
you
we're not
guys-
gonna be happy if it's any less than that. I mean, this is insane. This is insane what this neighborhood has been put through. And part of that responsibility is on you guys.
Well, we try to be fair with
You've
everybody.
been fair to 2 people.
I wouldn't
And
say
there's
that.
dozens of neighbors who have dealt with this for 4 years. 4 years. I'm cooking in my house in the spring and summer with all the windows closed because I can't open them. So
These two people
I
here,
wanted
they're
to val-
working for a living, okay? So we put them in a situation where.
everybody's working for a living, Gino.
I understand.
You know, again.
No, no, I understand, but that, okay. We spoke, and that is it. I
But-
close the meeting.
But, no, I'm still talking about this.
Oh, you talk.
So, and there are people up
All right.
here that may very well say, so I don't think you
Okay.
can close this discussion yet.
The question.
So I will, but I will
Really
respond
understand
to, I will respond to something.
Right.
That people's livelihoods aside, to some extent, I don't think come under our consideration. I don't know statutes incredibly well, but I don't think anywhere in the statutes it says, in the charter of a Board of Health, that it says that we get to make decisions based on someone's livelihood. So I put this out there because that statement has been said before in these
Okay.
meetings. That's not a consideration.
There was the 23rd and June 1st. He's got the dates. That's
Yeah.
it. That's all you have to hear.
I have a couple of
Go
questions.
ahead.
Is the odor increased when you start loading it up and sifting it and putting it on the beds and moving it? Is there a period of time, like when it's dormant, that it doesn't smell, and
Apparently
then
with
now?
an accident, I guess, I don't know. That's-
Typically, when you break into a pile and you introduce oxygen, you'll get an odor. The question is it a foul odor, is it a sweet smelling odor? There's always,
It's your own
you know,
opinion.
it's hard to measure an odor. Right? Compost, if you're talking strictly about compost, when it's fully matured, it doesn't have an odor. Well, it smells like dirt. That's when you know it's matured. People,
Is that all compost, or is that just leaf?
all compost.
How about bark mulch and stuff?
That's not compost, that's bark mulch.
Well, that's true.
That's a
It
different
does,
product.
yeah.
What we do is, when we feel that there's no foul odor coming from compost, we'll take it, we'll put it in a bag, usually 3 bags, like a freezer bag quantity, and we send it to University of Massachusetts. They send it back to us with all the results, and it'll tell us if there's lead in it, they'll tell us if there's, you know, salt from the streets in it. But the most important thing is they'll tell us whether or not it's mature. And when they open that bag, and if there's not a foul-smelling odor, they'll test it. If there's a foul-smelling odor, they typically don't test it because it's a waste of our money. It's not matured. If you use unmatured compost, it'll burn your plants. It robs all the nitrogen from your plants. If you use it around flowers or even shrubbery, it'll burn the plants. So that's why I'm questioning where this odor is coming from. I'm wondering if it's coming from another source. I don't know, because unless there's, it could be ponding water there, which will really cause a stench. A bad foul odor will come from ponding water. And that can go left, it can go right.
I don't think we're questioning the
this is-
neighbor's
yeah,
subjective
right.
experience of foul odors.
I'm not
That's-
questioning it
So
either.
let's just leave it at that. We
No.
have our dates, we have our marching orders, and I think I'd like to,
And just one other question, you're Vinnie? I'm new to the board. I'm looking at an email that, to Jim, talking about the deadline, and your last sentence says that you can't commit to June 1st.
Right, that was a week ago, I think, that I sent that.
But now you are.
Yeah. Because we've moved a lot of product in a week. It's, you know, the weather's been decent.
Anything else, John?
Nope.
I'm all
Yeah.
set. I'm all set.
Okay, okay. So we're not making any motion, we just wait for the dates, okay?
thank you.
All right, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You gotta sign those other things, Shelley?
Yeah, thanks.
Is there any, do we have minutes or anything?
No minutes.
No minutes.
Postpone it.
Money for me.
No, you're not sure yet.
Is that what this is officially starting with first minutes?
No minute though. All right, that's good for me, then.
So I guess all we got is the signing. That's it.
I think we have to sign something.
Huh?
I appreciate you guys have handled it well.
You did a great job, John. That's why you gotta make you chairman. Do a good job, you get the good water.
You know, my uncle always told me to work them out. If you don't like what you're doing, break it. Break the equipment, and you don't have to do it anymore.
There's a lot of truth to that.
You spoke at the Business Association when you were running for this office.
Yes.
And what you said about your experience working on the farm and where you came from is what moved me to vote for you. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was very,
Well, no one ran against him, did he?
Oh,
no, he was opposed.
Aaron did, that's right. He beat Aaron.
So I do have on the agenda reorganization of the board because Diane does ask for that to be done the first meeting after town meeting. You choose not to do it tonight.
Well, I told you, I personally think that it's a shame they got a half a year, but I think that we should stay in the pat and.
Well, the
that's
only
my
way,
advice, and
the only
I'm
way,
not-
yeah, the only way to stay in the path is like if he refused to run and he supports me for another year, then it goes back in the regular. They're very simple.
Well, I
It's
like
up
to
to
see,
you
it's
what you
just,
want- you wanna
it's
do.
just like Brad, he was gonna get
Remember?
off, but, you know,
Yeah.
in his own words were, I believe that everybody should only go a year and change.
Do you remember when you were a chairman and you
Yeah.
got sick and you said because of the leg, whatever, we gave you an extra year? There was
I don't
nothing wrong
think
with
so.
that. Yes, we gave you an extra year. You were a chairman for twice.
Yeah, but that was separated by years. That wasn't consecutive.
It was.
No, it wasn't.
Anyway, doesn't matter. It's up to him to make a decision.
Well, I'm fine taking over as chair. I think it's a discussion among the board on when that happens. So I think that's so it sounds like,
Well, if you want to table it till the 23rd, you can, but I'll bring you the paperwork that says it's supposed to be reorganized the first meeting after town meeting.
Yeah, that's the way we always do it.
Present.
Yeah,
If you want to wait till we have a full board next meeting with Erin here, we can do the vote then.
Well, we probably should wait for Aaron, because, you know, these guys are gonna be on here for a couple of years. I'm not gonna be here for a couple of years, so, you know, leave it up to them.
we want you to stay.
So I'll just put it back on the agenda for the 23rd when we have a full board.
You'll be here the 23rd.
I'll be here the 23rd. Yes, I'm traveling next week and the week
Where are you
following.
going?
So I'll put Halloran, I'll put this on, and I'll put the Durkey Farms on as a discussion so that you can continue it for 5, 6, and 7. It covers you if that comes up.
Are we not getting any appeals or variance requests for, I mean, is there just not a lot of building going on?
That was a lot of.
There's a lot of building going on.
But not,
Not
There's
the-
just been
not the
nothing with
moment. They
variances,
will
yeah.
eventually.
Well, if it's new, you don't get variances.
Well-
New.
Right.
You don't
well, there's
usually-
still stuff about, like groundwater offsets and stuff like that.
It should be all settled.
Generally, with new construction, it has to meet Title V,
Yeah,
and
so like my first couple, like 2 years ago, we had a whole slew of
I
things,
know.
like new construction.
You are
But
correct.
they could be new on an old site. If you're,
What about the
you
sign
know,
this
like
way?
a grandfathered site or something, then you don't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
the
Right up here?
distances and all that.
yeah.
Oh, Board of Health, okay. And this goes with it, too?
yeah, that all stays put together.
All this together?
So does Jim,
I got it, thank you.
you said put this Durkey Farm on the
Just sign my
agenda
name,
for
right?
next time. Does Jim know to do all this? Is he gonna retest or go back
All
to
set.
5, 6, and
Thank
7?
you.
Or
Oh, he'll know,
Okay.
because he reads the minutes of the meetings.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
The,
Okay.
So what I generally,
How we communicate to him.
yeah, so generally, Lisa,
He just signs?
yeah,
Okay.
Thursday after the meetings, Jim's in the office Tuesdays and Thursdays. So the Thursday after a meeting, I'll just go over with him. A lot of times he'll call me the morning after the meeting, and he'll just ask what happened. And then if he wants any further clarification or something, sometimes he'll send something out to the board, but he'll generally just see what actions were taken, what's been continued, what needs further clarification from him or anything. But, you know, this is one of the instances of, you know, you saw it when you were at some of these meetings before, you're a member, of things that he couldn't sign a building permit on because it exceeded his jurisdiction, but the board has the authority to sign it. So these are the things that come before the board, deed restrictions and these type of things that either, you know, he has a reason for saying he's not gonna sign it, but the board
Yeah.
has the
Is there
authority to
somebody
sign
else
it.
that can, like a consultant that can weigh in on it and, like a second opinion?
Well, if we have issues, say Jim says one thing, and he doesn't think we're doing the right thing,
Peter, excuse
we
me.
could go to DEP. Contact is Dave
Dave Boyer.
Dave Boyer, which we've done before. We've asked them, you know, we've got a little issue and can we,
There's somebody else to adjourn.
you know, how do you see it? And generally, yes.
I need any motion?
Motion to retire, I guess.
Yeah.
Second?
There you
All in
go.
favor?
Aye. You gotta be very excited
Put it off,
about
honey. Thanks,
motioning and seconding to adjourn the meeting.
Hey, John.